Hello and welcome to Business Pants.
This is the excited Monday version.
Yeah, baby. I finally stopped eating and I'm got my energy back.
I have to start eating. My children have been sick for 2 weeks. That means no food for
That's Matt
anyone.
Biscardi over there complaining about his kids' health. I'm Damion Rollis. We are Free Flow Media, everybody. This is the daily news. This is the Business Pants. Put on your business pants.
Pants yourself. I don't
Um,
think that's what we want our thing to be. Pants yourself.
Pants yourself.
No, I don't think that should be our tagline.
That means take off your pants, doesn't it?
That's true. So
Yeah, I don't know.
let's skip that. Let's go to the agenda. What do we got
Oh, we
today?
should get right at it. Let's just get right at it. Let's be serious and business-like today. Let's put on our business pants, Matt. So today we're gonna put a little wrap on our Thanksgiving holiday over here in the United States. We're gonna talk about Cyber Monday, which is today, and of course Amazon. In our biz feedback bag, Matt is gonna help us a few definitions. He's going to define the Dow Jones for us.
It needs to be biz feedback, doesn't it?
Biz feedback. So that's exciting. I don't really understand the Dow Jones because I'm an idiot. We have a bunch of biz nuggets, including updates from TikTok, and finally, and Matt makes. We're gonna play a game, everybody.
Yeah, I didn't make anything. We're just gonna play a game today. I thought we just have some fun. It's Monday. We're back. We're recovering. Let's just enjoy ourselves for once.
Yeah, and we're trying to emulate like TV news, and we're trying to get our program length under 30 minutes. That's our goal here, right?
Yeah, we want someone to pay attention.
Yeah. So we're trying to streamline this, baby. So let's do it. Let's get at it. Let's streamline it.
Let's get it.
All right, we got 7 minutes on the clock. Let's wrap up Thanksgiving, Matt. Put a bow on this crazy American consumerism. First, the numbers. Black Friday shoppers spent a record $7.4 billion. An even larger Cyber Monday is predicted. That's today, estimated at $9.4 billion. I don't know why it's more today. I guess because people are at work and they're bored. Black Friday shopping at brick and mortar stores, which I hate saying, but that's what they call a store, an actual store. I don't know why you need a modifier. Why can't you call that a store and then the other thing you call a virtual store? But whatever. So
God,
Black Friday shopping there
1994.
dropped by 6%. Okay, and then the shopping on Thanksgiving Day itself went up 2%. So people are going out on their holidays and they're spending less time at actual stores. But 8 of the 10 busiest shopping days are still to come. So there's a lot of crazy shopping to happen. At the same time, for a little counterbalance here, I want to tell you that French lawmakers are in talks to ban Black Friday, citing its environmental impact. So here in the Western world, we don't all have the same thought processes. But those are the numbers. But let's move on to the bigger story here, and this is really the bad news. But probably the more important takeaway, and that is that it's covering our need to shop so damn much and our need to get shit delivered so quickly, right? So let's talk about it. I know you love this topic. So several media sources over the weekend, including Bloomberg, NBC News, Gizmodo, and Reveal, so not just business pants, are covering a rash of tragic reports from inside Amazon fulfillment centers, right? So the main takeaway here is pretty simple. We are outsourcing the pain of the in-store shopping experience directly to low-paid workers in the Amazon fulfillment centers.
Can I one up you?
Yeah.
Are they full-time employees?
Well, a lot of them are, but a lot of them aren't. And that actually adds to the problem during the holiday season.
I just saw a study today that said 40% of global gig economy workers are in the U.S. And a lot of
Okay.
them are these types of jobs, right?
Yeah, and they claim that, of course, the weekly injury counts spike during these heavy shopping days, and part of the reason is that these warehouses are crammed with seasonal workers who really are just unaccustomed to how difficult it is being in those damn warehouses. And you add on top of that that the mandatory shifts, there are mandatory 12-hour shifts, so it's already hard,
Should
and
we
it's
do a 12-hour shift at Business Pants? We should just be on for 12 straight hours.
I'm always got my business pants on. So let me go over some of the stories. There was a story on Reveal, which is part of the Center for Investigative Reporting. They published a disturbing story on the backbreaking labor and intense monitoring that goes into Amazon workers who scan and package more than 300 items per hour, which is one every 12 seconds. Is that possible? The hell is that?
It just sounds like a lot.
Uh, so their reporting is that that serious injuries there are more than double the national average for the warehousing industry. Gizmodo is reporting staggering injury rates at a fulfillment center on Staten Island that far outpace even sawmills and steel foundries. Okay, so there's that. And then
Good.
NBC News is reporting that the sales volume at Amazon has taken priority over delivery driver safety. So there's that fun.
Well, getting my shit immediately should be like going to the steel mill.
I mean, right. I mean, and that's the thing, right? That's the thing we're not thinking about is that the unbelievable ease and comfort of clicking buy on the internet is completely hidden by a disturbing supply chain, right? It's like it's sort of
Well,
it's the
forget
perfect
disturbing.
situation.
Like, okay, so there's the morality part of this, right? Which is it is highly disturbing. Um, but isn't there also sort of like the how long can this possibly fucking last? How long can this last? Like, at
Well,
what
okay, so
point? Where does
yeah.
a breaking point? Where does the breaking point happen?
Well, I ask you, why, so why is it? You say where, when, how long, but why? Why does the breaking point happen? Is it a labor movement? Is it like public outcry? Is it
See, these are
what?
the
Like
workers.
what?
These workers used to get, in fact, a year and a half ago, I think it was a year and a half ago, Amazon employees across the entire company were getting shares as part of annual compensation for the full time employees, including warehouse workers. And they shifted, a lot of companies did this. They shifted away from giving any sort of stock and they moved towards higher minimum wage salaries, right? Like they basically
Okay,
raised the salaries and took away the stock. But the stock is actually voting power. And at Amazon, Bezos owns 16% of the stock, but the rest of it is owned by everyone else. Like he's not a majority shareholder, right?
right.
This is the kind of place where
It's a
employees
it's a good
could make
target.
a difference if they could vote. Otherwise,
Right.
it just has to get regulated. Somebody has to say, you know what, it's not okay to work for 12 hours and pee in a
Yeah.
can because you have to hold it, like, and you can't stop working. Like that's kind of not okay. And that's not to, you know, I don't want to like get into the whole moral discussion about should you
But
buy
the
stuff and how much do you want it to get.
right, but it's the moral discussion that's going to frame this, I think, going forward, and right, isn't it?
Yeah, it will, except that like I don't think that a mass consumer movement away from give me my shit immediately. Do you think that's more realistic than like employees actually? I mean, take a look at it this way. On
Yeah.
Prime Day since 2014,
Uh
German
huh.
employees have gone on strike every single year. When they
Right.
have
Right.
to do this kind of work, they go on strike. That's where it
Yeah.
comes from. The employees up basically have to rise up somehow to change it.
Oh, my. I tried to buzz you out there, but my speaker was off.
Can't even buzz me. God, it's such
All right.
a
Well,
shit show.
this is a story we're going to be covering a lot. I think one of the main reasons why I brought it up today is because it's starting to the stories are starting to go mainstream. So, and that's what we're interested here at Business Pants is we're interested in the narrative of all of this, right? And to see where the narrative takes us.
Let's go on a narrative journey.
All right, let's get out of there. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Uh, let's go to our biz bag, our biz mailbag, our biz feedback
Bizzle
viewer
bizzle bag.
bag. So as a listener, Dan Evans, we pointed out a few weeks ago, suggested that we define some shit for him because some of this stuff is confusing. And I think he's right. So we've started doing that. And the one I want to talk about today is the Dow Jones, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, whatever it's called. So here's the thing. Here's my question. What the hell is it exactly? Right? But okay, but beyond that, I want to give you some context first, and I'm hoping you can kind of make sense of it for us. Here's the context. Apple, Apple and Microsoft have amassed a collective $819 billion in market cap this year, leading to the Dow Jones to all-time highs. If those gains were stripped from the Dow, the blue chip index would be nearly 1,100 points lower than its current level. So what is all this, Matt?
All right. So there's two concepts that are kind of important. One is what the Dow Jones actually is, but like
Yeah.
what an index is, which is a list of companies. That's it. Now there's a lot of ways to make lists because people love to make lists of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Dow Jones happens to be the most moronic list of companies that
Oh,
could exist. I mean, no offense to S&P. It's a great thing that you've been doing for 100 years or almost 200 years. But the Dow Jones is basically a list of 30 random companies. They're like 30 large household names. That's kind of it. In fact, it was started in the like 1880s, and it was basically all railroad companies when it launched.
okay.
Today,
Wait, so yeah.
today
So
you
wait,
got like a company like the most recent company that got added this year was Dow, actually. Dow Incorporated,
Dow
like
itself?
the chemical company, not
Oh, okay.
not the Jones company.
Jeez. Okay.
But like Exxon or the predecessors to Exxon were added in 1928. That's the current longest lasting company on the Dow Jones Index. The way these
Yeah.
companies get picked
Yeah.
is sort of magic. It's sort of like,
Ooh, I
have you
like
heard of
magic.
them? Should they be on? Like if you say yes, it should be on, then they're kind of on.
All right, hold on. Let me interrupt you 1 second. When they say the market is up, like record highs, is it only referring to this group of 30 companies?
You know, a lot like it depends on who you ask. It's either the Dow or the
Okay.
S&P. Those are pretty much the two. Now, the big, huge difference between the Dow and the S&P is how they actually when they're up, what up means. Because
Hmm.
the S&P goes up, that basically means the market capitalization of the companies in the S&P went up. Like they're based on the market cap of the companies.
Okay.
When the Dow goes up, it means the prices of the
Oh, see
companies. It's
see.
just totally fucking random. And
Right.
all I know is that if you want to know what the market's doing, I mean there are 400 ways with a lot of different nuance. Your best bet is to look at the biggest index, biggest list, and say
Yeah.
how to do.
Okay.
I guess.
All right. Well, you know what?
You know
Something we
what?
should work on.
Short
We got to come
answer:
up with.
ignore the
Yeah.
Dow. Ignore it.
I think Business Pants needs to come up with its own market index. That's what we're gonna.
I 100%. Matt makes the next Business Pants
Uh,
Index.
yeah. All right. Oh, thanks. Thank you, Matt. I enjoyed that.
No, you didn't. No, nobody did.
Let's get out of that stupid biz bag. But I liked it. I liked it.
Let's get out of that stupid thing I liked.
I like learning stuff. It's fun. And I like admitting to everybody that I'm not really that smart. I enjoy admitting that. And that's why I'm sure there are lots of big corporations lined up to hire me back. That's what I think.
And calls have been flooding in.
All right, let's go to biz nuggets. This I know something about. I got a big belly full of turkey biz nuggets. All right, let's start it off with TikTok. TikTok has apologized to the user who criticized China's treatment of Muslims and lifted her ban. Is that meaningful, Matt? Do we care about this?
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
do you think they had to go to Chinese government for permission first? I mean,
Yes, I do.
yeah, I
I do.
actually, my
Of
guess would
course.
be they got permission to do that because
Yeah.
the Chinese government would want TikTok to look as independent as possible. So maybe I'm bought into the
Yeah, that's
conspiracy
part of
theory.
it. That's part of it.
I don't know. The
And
whole
they're on
thing is
hold with
like,
like Hong Kong. They're dealing with Hong Kong, so it's like they're like, oh, just apologize and shut up. Leave me
all I
alone for
know
now.
is it's better than Zuckerberg.
All right. Back to Amazon. Let's talk about Uncle Jeff a bit more. Amazon has removed a selection of items that displayed images of Auschwitz and other Nazi concentration camps.
Light fare.
Yeah. So Amazon said it prohibits the sale of products related to human tragedies and natural disasters, which is weird.
So
And that also
slankets.
all sellers must follow our selling guidelines, and those who do not will be subject to action, blah, blah, blah. But Matt, is this the same thing that Facebook does with like it live streams mass massacres in churches and then it just calls whoops, right? Like is this the same thing?
I do think actually, yeah, you know what? It kind of is. And more frightening
Yeah.
is the number of sellers on Amazon. Like, have you ever looked at like the star verifying websites? Like, there are websites you
Kind
can
of.
go to
Yeah.
that will tell you how many real
Yes, I
reviews
have.
a
I have.
product
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
This is a huge problem for Amazon that
Yeah, I
they
think it was
don't
like
even bother to police, because once you click buy, what do they care?
yeah. And I think it was like 1.3 billion fake reviews. Is that the number in my head?
It is a staggering amount,
Yeah.
and I my guess is the ones for Auschwitz related material were actually pretty low. Those are probably real reviews.
Listen, is it the job of Amazon and Facebook to catch the stuff before it happened? Is that too much? I mean, what? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, what what is the point of a
Yeah, I hear what you're
is
saying.
it a
I
platform
know
or
what
is
you're
it
gonna say.
not?
Right. Amazon is also introducing a virtual medical scribe to let doctors record their conversations with patients and put them in your medical files. So now Alexa knows why you itch. What about this, Matt?
This
You
is
like
the
this one?
worst idea.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd like this one.
Honestly, what don't they know?
Well, now they know it all. Maybe they can. I know we're going to talk about menstruation badges later, so maybe there can be some kind of partnership.
Ooh, teaser.
Facebook has issued a corrective label on a user's post under Singapore's new fake news law. I love this. Here's the label that Facebook put up. Here's the quote. Facebook is legally required to tell you that the Singapore government says this post has false information. It's creepy, right?
That's really creepy.
And it's
But do we think it
only visible to Singapore users.
look, is it different than Twitter giving a platform to Donald Trump, who can say CNN is fake news? That is the American government saying something is fake news also.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
They're
I just
exactly
yeah.
the same. And the platforms are allowing it to happen because and then not policing what is actually true or fake. Although, like, I don't know what we expect of them anymore except to make
I don't know.
ad revenue.
Again, I put this in the like making shit up as we go along and just yeah, with
God,
no
we started off on such a high note with Amazon employees getting injured more than steelworking, but
oh god.
now we're
And
in dystopia
sawmills.
again.
Hello, sawmills. Where
So-
all it is a giant saw. Speaking of creepy, I wanted to update that Uber founder Travis has now cashed out $1.7 billion worth of Uber stock.
I call
Yep.
it the full Newman. He went full Newman.
Full Newman, that's the number. And let's remind everyone that Travis got fired for being a significant a-hole. Finally, a Japanese department store is reconsidering its plan for staff to wear menstruation badges. Yeah, you heard that right. The company hoped that the badges would help foster sympathy among coworkers, with those choosing to wear the pin likely to receive extra help or longer breaks. Uh, we have a lot more to say about this, but since Matt, I know you made a game about it, so let's. I'm going
This
to
was
end this.
inspiring to me. Let's go right.
Let's talk about it. Let's go to Matt makes. Make us.
All right, in honor of the Japanese department store's menstruation
Yeah.
badge.
That's right. It's yeah. No, listen to what Matt just said.
In honor of.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think I think we underplayed the value of merit badges at the workplace or badges
Mhm.
in general. Like
So you're calling a menstruation badge a merit badge? I could be.
maybe, 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 um, maybe status update badges.
Okay. Yeah.
So now, obviously, let me say this for the record: menstruation badges are a bad idea. Okay, like
I I could debate this with you, but fine, they're a bad
I
idea.
mean, they're not really that inclusive, especially in a country that is a workforce problem that could be solved by having more women
Yeah,
access
that's
to
true.
work and or
That's true.
childcare.
Yeah.
And their idea of inclusivity is, are you bleeding? That's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
really
we
great.
we talk a lot about how, US firms and UK firms, that don't put women in leadership. In Asia, in most of Asia, they're absolutely allergic to women in leadership. So,
I just heard Asia sneeze.
yeah.
So I went out and I wanted to actually figure out, and we're gonna play a little
Okay,
game, and I want
let's
you to
do it.
play.
Yeah.
There was actually a survey done by Olivet Nazarene University. No, I hadn't heard of it either. But they surveyed 2,000 American workers in 2017
Right.
about annoying workplace habits.
Oh, yeah.
100% of the 2,000 respondents said, yes, someone annoys the shit out of me at work. So
Okay, of course.
I'm not kidding you. That's
Yeah. I
100%.
work alone here, and I annoy the shit on myself, so
But
I get
here are
it.
the top five. We're going to go
Okay.
backwards from the top five. We'll end at
Alright.
number one. Number five. What do you think the fifth most annoying workplace habit was, Damian Rollis?
Wait, okay, but a little context. So, are we talking about this because you want to create badges out
That's
of
exactly
these
right. We
annoying
need a
work habits?
badge
Okay,
for each annoying workplace habit.
yeah, because I said before we did this story in this game.
Menstruation, for the record, is not annoying. I
No, it's
just
not annoying,
want to
but
take this to the next level.
I thought this could work if you had an equal badge for men in the office, like something the equivalent of a menstruation badge, right? Like a
Yeah, man badges.
erectile dysfunction badge, or a like I can't emote badge, or whatever. I don't know what it is, but all right. So okay, back to the quiz. So
Back to the
number
game. Number
five.
five. What do you think the number five item on this list is?
I'm since I have no understanding of how I could even begin to know the top five. I'm just gonna tell you things that annoy me. Can I do that?
Do it.
All right.
These are broad categories, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was gonna say like people doing like look, it's clipping your nails essentially. I don't know what the category for that is,
Number
but
five, 1%
yeah,
responded employees' personal hygiene.
that's it.
That's it. And in
I hit it.
fact,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
suggestion would be a don't cut your nails
Wait,
badge.
can I just say that I did not see these slides that Matt's posting live on our stream on YouTube and Twitch.
Unbelievable.
I actually just guessed that.
That's a real thing now.
No,
I
I
mean,
hate
like,
it.
I actually read
I
several
hate it.
different types of surveys, and nail clipping comes up more than you'd like
Yeah.
to admit.
Yeah.
Number four. What do we think number four is?
Uh,
Now you got that high
I'll
level.
say
Personal hygiene is like the type of level we're talking about.
okay. I'm gonna say people who don't know how to end a conversation. Is that
Number four was actually email and
email?
meeting habits.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
6%.
I worked at a company that I'm not going to name MSCI, but no one there knows how to show up on time, and people also don't know how to talk during meetings. So,
Well,
whatever.
they also know how to send a lot of emails, though.
Yeah, they
So
do.
my suggestion would be a don't email me badge.
Okay. Okay. And what's next?
This is much
Number
better than
three.
menstruation, isn't it? All of these are. No, okay, number
Yeah.
three.
Again, there's nothing wrong with menstruation. I mean, it's yeah.
That's why these are
These,
better.
these two are far worse. Yeah. Go ahead.
Number three, take a guess.
Oh, number three. Smelly lunch.
Exactly.
Is that
Bathroom
right?
and eating habits.
Okay. So this is
12%.
yeah, proving that I worked in an office for way too many years.
So may I suggest that please don't fart near me.
Yeah, and no tuna special. All right, idiots. All right, keep going.
Number four. Number two. All right, I'm going backwards. Number two.
I don't even know. I like.
I'll spare you the suspense.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
32% do not like gossiping and bullying.
Okay, I don't mind gossiping, but the bullying that seems bad.
Bullying just seems illegal.
Yeah, don't
Gossiping,
bully. Gossiping
gossiping, I
is
agree
normal.
with.
It's natural. I don't know. How do you avoid that one? All right.
The
I think that's
the
code for men being jerks and they don't want to hear women talk.
the number one most annoying habit of your
Yeah.
coworkers
Yeah.
is loudness and complaining. Nearly 50% of
That's
respondents
it. Really?
said they don't like how loud or complainy their coworkers were. So,
Yeah. I
may
don't know
I
if I.
suggest a do
Yeah.
not speak badge?
Okay.
That's
Okay. I like it.
significantly better to me than a
All right.
menstruation badge.
So, what are
Okay,
our 5 badges? Before we wrap up the show, what are our 5 badges?
our 5
Do not
badges are
do not speak badge.
no nail clipping,
No nail clipping badge.
don't email me,
Don't email me.
fart somewhere else,
Fart somewhere else.
shh.
Okay, so what are these? Are badges? They're like directives. Like this is your ordering people badges.
This is my status. I do not want to hear any gossip. I don't want farts near me. I don't want any emails, and I definitely do not want your nail clippings at my desk. And last but not least, I prefer if you no longer speak.
See, this is why we have a raging gig economy, because you're gonna be firing everybody and hiring like scrubs off the street.
Well, all I'm saying is I'm going to go out on a limb and say my badges better than anybody else's badges so far.
Yeah, I guess so.
What would your badge be if you had to pick a badge?
Like an honest badge, I would say that I have I may or may not. If you start a conversation with me, I may or may not be interested. That's my bad.
That's a pretty.
So like, I'm
difficult-
sorry. I'm sorry if I act awkward.
I'm
and walk
sorry,
away.
I don't care.
I might stay. I might not.
I think
All right.
if you're gonna have menstruation badges, I do think you should have erectile dysfunction badges.
Yeah, no, I think
just
right.
to make it all body focused.
I think that's what Japan was missing, is that you don't just focus on the women. It's
This is
weird.
somehow business pants, by the way.
All right. Say the bit about subscribing and let's get out of here.
Please, pretty please, subscribe, rate us, watch us live on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. We are live Monday through Thursday at noon Eastern Time. Our team here, executive producer Courtney Rowe, our philosophical North Star is Courtney Cook. Our second philosophical North Star is Dan Rogachnig. Our art department is John Walsh. We are Free Flow Media. I am Matt Muscardi. That is Damion Rollis. This was Business Pants.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.